The ultimate League of Legends Iceberg. League of Legends has been one of the most popular games in the past decade and a half now, so there's bound to be things that have been forgotten through time, but not today. Today we're going to be exploring the deep end and shining a light on forgotten League of Legends content and topics. And in case if you guys don't know how icebergs work, we're going to start at the very top and work our way down. The deeper we go, the more obscure it gets. So you guys are bound to learn something new or something you had never heard about, or remember something that you totally forgot about. And for this iceberg, I used a multitude of different resources, including an old Reddit post from 3 years ago, my own topics that I found very interesting, as well as my own YouTube comments. So if you see yourself in this video, congratulations, you made it. So without further ado, grab a snack, a drink, some popcorn, and get comfy, because I present to you guys the ultimate League of Legends iceberg. Better nerf Irelia. This meme or joke was very popular in the old days of League of Legends, and even for me, I didn't even know why I was saying better nerf Irelia. This community joke started because the day before Irelia was even released, she got nerfed. And I'm not even talking about like a hot fix after it was released and they're seeing the win percentage. No. Before she even got onto live service, they nerfed her. And the reason why they nerfed her was because Riot Morello said, quote unquote, she was too annoying to play against. And that was in 2010. Imagine if you saw some of the fucking champions now. And ever since she got released, especially during the early days of League of Legends, she would get the most random nerfs. Like, Cassidy would have a 99% ban rate, Malphite and Mumu and Shen will all be pick and ban, but Irelia would just get a random nerf to her base stats, a random nerf to her ultimate, or a random nerf to her W. It was really just a meme that the community coined because they would just randomly nerf Irelia, and Irelia wasn't known as like a broken champion back then. Don't get it twisted, she was fucking annoying to play against, especially with that E, but compared to some of the champions that weren't being nerfed, it was actually too funny not to make it a joke. Vi and Jinx are sisters. If you guys aren't living under a rock, yeah, Vi and Jinx are indeed sisters, and especially because of the release of Arcane, this has made it even more apparent that they are sisters. Well, technically Vi and Jinx aren't sisters, Powder and Violet are. Blame the jungler. It's kind of incredible how many things have changed throughout history while other things have stayed the same, and this is the perfect example of things that have stayed the same. People have always say, blame the motherfucking jungler. Even if it was your fault, blame the jungler. You died 1v1, blame the jungler. Your wife cheated on you, it's probably the jungler's fault. I swear to God, man. And maybe I'm very impassioned about this topic, especially because I'm a jungler myself, and I have become best friends with the fucking mute/all button, because I'm not trying to hear that shit. And unlike the support role where the only person that's flaming you is your ADC, the jungler gets flamed by everybody. Even if you make the right decisions, there's going to be one person that's going to be unhappy. And I'm not even surprised at this because accountability was never League of Legends players' strong suit.
Cause he wrote me into this. Well, him over there, he wrote me into this. Well,
Arshen. Arshen was an unreleased champion that was developed around 2013. He was supposed to be this big ass elemental dragon with some crazy ass abilities, but for whatever reason Riot didn't end up releasing him. But they did use Arshen to develop and create Aurelian Soul in 2016. And for you TFT heads, you guys already know that Arshen was released as a unit in TFT. I forget which set it was, but it was the one with the elemental dragons. Darius and Draven are brothers. Well, duh. If you guys didn't know this, I don't even know if you're a real League of Legends player. But as a bonus fact, if you guys didn't know, Draven's old passive used to be very similar to Darius's. They both had a bleed. It was just that Draven's bleed only worked on critical strikes or when he landed his Q ability.
Hey Draven, Mama said you were adopted.
Pay to win skins. No matter how many times people want to hate on League of Legends, the one good thing about League of Legends is that it's free. However, over the history of League, there has been some skins that the community has deemed as pay to win. An old time and classic example would be the Mecha Kha'Zix skin, because the indicator that shows you the target is isolated was way more noticeable than in the base skin. Another example that was patched out of the game was Zombie Brand, because his wall walking animation would be different depending on if he was approaching an enemy. So regardless if you had vision or not, his walk animation would change, and that would give you a good indication that somebody was in that bush. Some other skins that were deemed as pay to win would be Sea Dog Yasuo, because his Q was much smaller than it appeared and people would get hit by it unexpectedly. And also for Project Ashe, because her ultimate had a deceptive hitbox. Like, it looks small, but it's really wide as fuck, and you would get hit by her ultimate more often. If you want to know more about pay to win skins, check out the skill cap video in the link down below. Graves Cigar. Back in 2014 when Graves got reworked, he also got an updated splash art, and in that splash art he was smoking a cigar. However, after a month, Riot removed Graves' cigar due to concerns about the gaming ratings in different regions. And I'm not gonna say which country it was, but
China!
After Riot removed Graves' cigar, there was an immediate uproar from the community, coining the popular phrase, "blank can have blank, but Graves can't have his cigar." However, back in 2017 when Riot released their Ask Riot blog post about the situation, they actually brought back the cigar in certain regions, including NA. So, thanks Riot. The winter map for Summoner's Rift. Did you guys know that League of Legends used to have several seasonal events that would change the entire Summoner's Rift, including this winter map that released in 2009, as well as 2010, as well as Christmas of 2011, 3 years in a row. And then afterwards, it got retired for a while, came back in 2016, and now it's been almost 9 years without the winter map. Also, because I might as well add this in, there was also a Halloween map, but I'm pretty sure it was only released for like 1 year, and this map was actually sick as hell. I've included a link down below if you guys want to see the comparison, but this map was actually very nice because it was very dark and it had a moodier vibe. The Arshen Knight controversy. Back in spring of 2022, Riot released a new skin line called the Arshen's Knight, and this wasn't any type of skin line. This was a mythic skin line. So you would think that the skin should be higher quality because you are paying way more for it. That would be the case for Pyke. However, it wouldn't be the case for Silas's skin. The community hated this skin, and to be honest, I see why. Because frankly, the skin doesn't even look like a 1350 skin, let alone a fucking mythic skin. And on top of that, besides it being a very boring and lifeless skin with pretty shitty particle effects, it looks exactly like Freljord Sylas. And on top of that, people have made videos comparing Freljord Sylas to this skin. So that's very bad because Freljord Sylas is only, I just searched it up, it was 1350 RP. But even then, the Freljord Sylas skin looks nicer than this skin. And this skin is supposed to be a mythic skin. Ashe, Sejuani, and Lissandra are sisters. This feels like a super obvious one for me because I was actually here for the Freljord event when Lissandra got released, and they released the entire lore, how Ashe, Sejuani, Lissandra were all sisters and how they own their own kingdoms and they're going to war against each other. So if you don't know, now you know. River Shen. Around 2015, a popular strategy was developed by a deranged man where he would take Exhaust Ignite and would literally sit in the river, taking scuttle crabs and ganking lanes on repeat. And you guys would think that this strategy is completely troll and can't work, but surprisingly, it was quite effective. And ever since then, River Shen has lived on through players trying to imitate his style to variant results.
No one knows where Shen will go.
Shyvana's rework. In 2022, Riot released a poll on which champion should be the next champion to receive a rework, and it was between Tryndamere, Shyvana, Skarner, Kog'Maw, and Nocturne. The results were that Skarner overwhelmingly got first place, but in second place, it was Shyvana. And on the same post, Riot said that Shyvana would be a strong contender, but 3 years later, and we still haven't got a Shyvana rework, so her rework has been in limbo ever since. And recently, near the end of 2024, Riot has announced that the Shyvana rework will not come until 2026. So knowing Riot, it'd probably be released in 2028. High Elo Spectate feature and global chat. I received this comment on my old League of Legends video and I decided to add it to this Iceberg. So thank you, animals of today. But did you know that Riot Games used to have a spectate feature for high elo games that were going on at any given time? In the client on the home screen, there would be 5 games going on at any given time that you could actually watch and spectate. And this was a fantastic feature because this gave you the ability to learn and improve from what other players were doing, especially in the higher elos, and you could use that in your own games, or you could just simply spectate for the entertainment value. And this feature was really helpful because not a lot of people were streaming back in the day. Streaming wasn't as popular as it is now, so it wasn't that easy to actually spectate high elo games. Also, as a bonus fact, League of Legends used to have a global chat where you could talk to everybody in the game. However, it got removed when the client got updated. Same thing with the high elo spectating feature. Yorick's hat. In 2021, Riot released the brand new Yorick skin, Pentakill 3 Yorick. The skin looked kinda nice, but the main problem was that during every single promotion material, Yorick had this badass hat. But for whatever reason, they fucking removed it at the final release of the skin. You can still see the hat when he dances or it recalls, but other than that, you're not able to toggle it on and toggle it off like some other skins. Like, look at the first Vi skin ever released when she had the sunglasses that she could toggle on and off. This technology has been in the game since 2013. I don't know why they didn't include it. Also, does his hat look like the Undertaker hat? Gangplank died. Back in Season 5, while Riot was releasing the Bilgewater event where they changed the entire map for ARAM, they introduced a bunch of changes, including some lore updates, but the biggest change of them all is that they killed Gangplank. And I'm not even joking, they actually killed Gangplank and disabled him from being played for the entire week. The only thing that the players had was this one message that said Gangplank is dead and has been disabled in all queues, and that was because they were trying to rework him and release the new version of Gangplank. Double IP weekend. I'm not sure how many people remember this, but I remember back in the day that Riot used to do double IP weekends, very similar to the double XP weekends that Call of Duty had. And this was fantastic because back in the day, it was very hard to earn all the champions. It costed a lot of fucking money to buy all the champions. And not only that, you had to pay for runes back in the day, so there's so much shit that you had to pay for. So I remember playing on the weekends with my friends and just grinding IP like non-stop, just so I was able to afford all the room pages as well as the champions I wanted. And I was always curious on why they stopped doing these double IP weekend events, but according to this Reddit post 5 years ago, apparently that people were just abusing the feature by just running it down and trying to finish the game as quickly as possible. And especially for people who are just trying to play the game, this was obviously bad for the game. So yeah. The Hidden Deer. If you guys didn't know, ever since the release of the Summoner's Rift reworked map, there's a hidden deer on the bottom of the map. You just have to go all the way to the bottom of the map and you should be able to see him. Smurf Queue. Just like most competitive games, League of Legends rank queue is filled with Smurfs. There are plenty of reasons why you may want a Smurf, but at the end of the day, it ends up ruining the experience for people who actually belong to that elo. So what Riot did a while back was create a system that detects if you're a Smurf or not. They basically check your performances in your recent rank games, and then they will automatically put you in this quote-unquote Smurf queue. So basically around people the same skill level as you.
Smurfs ruin this game. Smurfs ruin this elo. I'm not lying. They ruin it. It's impossible to climb when they're perma-smurfing. They say, well, aren't you smurfing? Yes, but I'm not trying. I'm not trying.
And of course, the system isn't perfect. However, it's a lot better than it was before. Free RP for art. This is a fan favorite one because even back in the day, Riot had this system and it's still going strong today. So basically, if you're missing a couple RP, I believe it was less than 100 RP, what you could do is that you could email Riot, and what they would do is that they would ask you for a drawing. It could be any type of drawing as long as it pertains to League of Legends, and then you would be able to get free RP. It could be a new skin concept, it could be a crew drawing of your favorite champion, it didn't matter. As long as you submitted your own drawing, Riot will supply you with that free RP. Malphite is a dad? Yeah, you heard that right. Malphite is a father, and his kid's name is Chip because literally it's a chip off Malphite's body. I guess you could say he's a chip off the old block. Vladmir is Viego's uncle. Even though they're distant relatives to each other, they both descend from the same family. They even share some voice lines with each other.
Hello, Uncle. I'm surprised you haven't been torn apart by an angry mob.
And I actually had no clue about this. I had no clue that Vladmir and Viego were related in any way. But I guess it makes sense because they both have white hair. Hey, maybe John is related to them too.
Hexakill!
The Hexakill game mode is a 6v6 game mode that originally took place on the Summoner's Rift. However, it also got released on the Twisted Treeline as well. The game mode's exactly what you guys expect. It's like a regular game of League of Legends, however, instead of 5 people on each team, there's 6. So with 2 extra people, it caused an insane amount of chaos because you have 2 extra people that you have to worry about at any given time. And more importantly, in this game mode, you were actually able to get something that was better than a pentakill. A Hexakill. And if you want to learn more about this game mode and other game modes, check out my YouTube video on every game mode ever. Global Damage Poppy. About 4 years ago, there was an exploit in the game where Poppy was able to hit everything on Summoner's Rift. This included champions, monsters, minions, all the enemy champions. You were able to hit them at the same time with this exploit. And the craziest thing about this is that it wasn't limited to Poppy. I remember Ornn could do this as well as other champions like Kayn and Taric, but it seems like Poppy was the first champion that this exploit was discovered on. Summoners. And I'm not talking about summoner spells, I'm talking about summoners, because before League of Legends updated their lore, the original League of Legends lore was that there was a player, aka you were one of the strongest summoners in the world who were able to summon these legends into battle and to settle various disputes across the land of Runeterra, and they were able to do battle in the fields of justice. I guess you could say it was almost like a League of Legends.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Varus is not a Darkin. Many people in the community were confused if Varus was a Darkin or not because he misses a lot of the characteristics of a normal Darkin. Number 1, he has no healing in his kit like Kayn or Aatrox. He doesn't even have any voice lines with other Darkins. And on top of that, he doesn't even have the double A thing like Rost and Aatrox has. And there's actually an Aatrox voice line scolding him about it.
Varus, V-A-R-U-S. Your name should have an A and then another A. Varus, there was a memo, Varus. There was a memo.
It could be because Varus is a half Darkin and half human, because he's 2 humans mixed with the Darkin, and the Darkin hasn't got full control of Varus yet because he's 2 people. Mordekaiser punches Viego. During the League of Legends concert for Pentakill, Mordekaiser is seen punching the shit out of Viego. I'm not sure if this is canon or not. The Wraiths and Wight camp. As a jungler, I'm real excited to talk about this one. The Wraiths camp was an old jungle camp that used to exist before the chickens. And from my memory, I remember this camp doing so much fucking damage. And to be fair, all the jungle camps back in the day did a lot of fucking damage. The jungle now is comparable to fucking Winnie Hut Jr. But those Wraiths back in the day, woo! Even if you touched them a little, they could actually kill you when you're low HP. Also, the Wight camp wasn't included this, but I might as well lump it in here. The Wight camp used to be a camp that existed right before Gromp, and the Wight camp looked very similar to the Wraith camp. Instead of it being 4 of them, it was just 1, and it was a big white one. However, this only existed for a season and a half, from halfway through season 3 all the way till the end of season 4. And if you guys were wondering what existed before season 3, it was nothing. There was no camps there, which is weird because I always thought there was a camp right there. But apparently there was no camp that existed before the Wight camp. The Suicidal Frog. Since the map update of Season 5, every single league match has a suicidal frog with no will to live that hurdles himself off the map before the start of every match. And the funny thing is that I do the same thing, but usually I just wait till after the game before I do it. However, it's important to add this note. Apparently there's another theory that technically the frog never died and just transforms into Gromp every single game. But who knows? And before I forget, people in the community have been calling this frog George. So use that information as you will.
Stay here. No jumping.
She's too tanky. I don't think I need any commentary for this video, so go ahead and roll the clip.
Nah, fuck that shit, man. He's too tanky. Cannot do shit when he's so tanky.
What?
Fucking
Tiamat Stacking. Shout out to Malumi for this suggestion. Back in old League of Legends, before Ravenous Hydra or even Tiamat Hydra existed, Tiamat used to be a standalone item that used to cost 2.3k gold. It would give you a decent amount of AD, a decent amount of health regen, but the most important thing was that cleave passive effect. However, there was one exception. There was no stacking limit on the item, so theoretically you could trigger the Tiamat multiple times on multiple opponents at the same exact time. And the best champions to use the strat on were Fiora, because her ultimate stacked it insanely well, and Shyvana, because she was able to proc it twice with her Q, and on top of that, she had the power Q, she could proc it 3 times. But it's also important to note it did work on ranged champions such as Twitch, so Twitch was able to use Tiamat pretty effectively as well. Old Summoner's Rift. The Old Summoner's Rift map lasted from 2009 all the way until Season 5 of 2015. And this map feels like home to me. This map is the map that I played on when I was grinding League of Legends in the earlier years. I'm not gonna lie, just looking back on the map, it had a lot more character than the map that we have today. Of course, the map today is clean, more sterile, better for, you know, team fighting and shit, but I'll throw all that away for the old map, because the old map had character, it felt warm, it felt cozy, man. Y'all kids will never understand. Twisted Treeline. I already covered this topic before, but I would love to talk about Twisted Treeline again because this was my shit. I used to exclusively play Twisted Treeline from level 1 all the way to level 30. And Twisted Treeline was one of the original maps included in League of Legends with Summoner's Rift. Twisted Treeline was a 3v3 map that was much more fun and faster paced compared to Summoner's Rift. And there was actually 2 versions of this map. The first one from 2009 all the way till the end of Halloween of 2012, and then the one from 2012 all the way to 2019 before they removed it. And to be honest, I loved both versions of these maps, but if I had to pick one, I'm obviously gonna pick the one that I grinded from level 1 to 30 on, the old one. But real shit, Riot Games need to bring back Twisted Treeline. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but bring back Twisted Treeline. Draven is Set's dad. This surprised the fuck out of me when I first saw it because Draven seemed like the same age as Set, but apparently on Set's universe page it says that his dad was an infamous Noxus pit fighter. And guess what Draven is? An infamous Noxus pit fighter. And on top of that, Draven is even on Set's related champion tab in the League of Legends webpage. So pretty much Draven smashed Set's mom and then went to get the milk, but never came back with the milk. Sunfire Evelynn. Oh boy, this is a classic. So if you guys were here for this strategy, you guys are truly an OG. Back in the day when Evelynn was arguably one of the weakest champions in the game, she had an ability that made her go invisible up to 60 seconds. So essentially people created a strategy where they would literally stack Sunfires, because stacking worked infinitely back then, and they would literally stand on the enemy and burn them to death without them knowing what the fuck is going on. Because she was invisible and she had Sunfire, you were literally burning the enemy team without them even knowing it. And her stealth was true stealth, so she was able to get up and close with you. The only thing that would stop her is if you had an Oracle or a Pink Ward. And to be fair, this wasn't a broken strategy, but I can tell you it was one of the most frustrating strategies to play against, especially as a new player who doesn't know what's going on. This must have been the most annoying shit ever. 1939 to 1945 Corki. There was a controversy with Red Baron Corki skin because it resembles the colors of a specific superpower during World War II. I would love to say who they were, but YouTube is probably going to demonetize me if I do, so I'm not going to do it. It was the jerk. French Ramus. Yo, I don't know who the voice actor of French Ramus is, but he gotta be the funniest guy ever, cause yo, he sounds creepy as hell.
Oui, d'accord, okay. What?
I think the top comment sums this up pretty well. French Renekton.
Renekton, you're the winner. I'm not sure where to put the mic.
microphone, but what went into making this costume? How long did it take?
I'm French. I'm French.
Russian moaning? I don't know how much Riot is paying these Russian voice actors, but some of these voice actors are going above and beyond. Prime example, Russian Vayne. Go ahead.
That is the type of sound you would make if you died, I can imagine.
Iron 4 accounts. Iron 4 has gotten an infamous reputation as the bottom of the bottom, but a nigga like me, I remember back in the day, the lowest rank possible was bronze 5. And I actually was bronze 5 at that point. And the new Elo hell is now Iron 4. And before Riot changed their system, I remember that there was more people on Iron 4 than there were at Challenger. So literally, it was more rare to have an Iron account than a fucking Challenger account. And on top of that, if you wanted to buy an account, it would cost you more to get an Iron account, because I don't know why people maybe want to beat up on toddlers. Aspects are basically Darkins. Aspects are some of the most powerful beings in League of Legends lore. And aspects are basically powerful spirits that provide their hosts with unimaginable power. Champions like Leona, Diana, Pantheon, Taric. But people don't know that Darkins would be considered aspects too, because think of Aatrox and Kayn, they both have Darkins trapped inside them that provide them with power. But the main difference is that for the aspects, they provide that user with unimaginable power. For the Darkins, they were sealed away and they want to come out. They want to take control of their host. So that's the main difference between the two, but essentially they're two sides of the same coin. Speaking of aspects, Leona's genocide. This was a big surprise for me because I always thought Leona was the quote-unquote good guy. But apparently I don't know much about the lore, because Leona is a genocidal maniac that wants to kill all the Lunari people. In a story released around 2021, Diana and Leona were essentially friends. Actually, they were low-key lovers at one point. But that was before they were struck by Moonlight and Sunlight respectively, turning them both into aspects. And when they got turned into aspects, they essentially turned into two different people, where Leona was on a crusade to kill all the Lunari people. Good thing I like Diana more anyways.
Lyra!
Doping in Worlds. In any sport, people will always try to get a competitive advantage over their competition. And this can be through various means, and typically in traditional sports, the most popular way of getting that advantage is by doping, either using steroids or some other performance enhancing drugs. And even in esports, players will take these performance enhancing drugs to increase their level of play. And the most popular drug of them all would be Adderall, because it enhances your focus and clarity. And there's real life examples of people using these drugs to get a competitive advantage in Worlds. There was an infamous C9 scandal. I'm not going to go over it fully, but essentially your favorite esports team was definitely dabbling in the drugs. A lot of drugs.
Drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs. If you do them, you're bad. Because drugs are bad, okay? It's a bad thing to do drugs, so don't be bad by doing drugs, okay? That'd be bad. Drugs are bad, okay?
90% ban rate casseted. Oh boy, this shit actually gives me PTSD, because this was arguably one of the most broken champions in League of Legends existence. And usually Riot would nerf these champions very early on, so their reign of terror will only last a couple months. For 90% ban rate Kassadin, he was fucking popular from season 2 all the way to like the end of season 3. And I remember his ban rate used to fluctuate. It used to be all the way up to like 95 to 98% ban rate. That just shows you how truly broken this champion was. And the main difference is that Kassadin of old used to have a silence on his Q, and it used to be quite a long one. So literally he would just jump on you, silence you, and then one tap you. And especially if he actually reaches the late game, good fucking luck. good fucking luck. He's way more impressive than the Kassadin that we have today. And on top of that, back in the day, we didn't have that many dashes or gap closers or movement abilities. So Kassadin was on a level of his own. So if you know how to play the game, you could actually just destroy the entire map with this champion. Really, just an absolute menace to society. The Journal of Justice. I know a lot of you guys weren't around for the Journal of Justice, but the Journal of Justice was a collection of stories about League of Legends and the world around it, and the different events that were actively happening in the story of League of Legends. And this was only the few ways that we were able to find out the lore of League of Legends. And every now and then, Riot would release a new article about the current and past events that were currently happening in Runeterra, and you were able to read directly from the client. The one thing I did like about the Journal of Justice a lot was that they wrote it into the perspective of somebody who was in Runeterra that owns a newspaper business called the Journal of Justice, and they have these different staff members. So if you guys want to take a look, these are some pretty cool avatars that they had for each one of the articles. But eventually, Riot decided to get rid of the Journal of Justice to find other ways to convey the lore. One example would be music videos. And speaking of music videos, shoot faster. Besides the game itself, League of Legends over the years have expanded in different avenues, from different games like Valorant.
Like, what is this? Blue wall. Raining smoke. Nami ult. Fucking, I don't know what that is. Fucking Nasus E all over the site. Incoming nukes. Nukes dropping down. Wall.
To even full-fledged TV shows like Arcane. But before all of that, the very first endeavor Riot took was into music. And the first music video they ever released was for Jinx. Get Jinx. And this music video was actually released 2 days before Jinx's release on October 10th, 2013. And I ain't gonna lie, this song is an absolute banger. I remember playing this shit on repeat on Osu. Fuck! I quit. But this music video opened the door for Riot to actually head headfirst into music, dropping some bangers in the process. Like for example, the next music video they dropped after the Jinx music video was the Warriors song for Worlds. And that shit is arguably my favorite fucking song that League of Legends ever released. A muumuu is a dead child. For a children's game, League of Legends has some dark ass lore for some of their characters. Exhibit A, a muumuu. He's literally a dead child brought back to life, roaming around, just trying to find someone to be his friend.
I am overwhelmed by an emotion when you are not around. It is called happiness. Ah, would you like some friends? Nope, can't have them.
Poor sad little mummy. I just want to take you home.
Goo goo gaga. I want milk.
However, he is cursed to be alone forever because whoever he touches dies. Truly a sad, sad, sad story. Oh, boo-hoo. Stop crying, little nigga, man. Everyone's depressed sometimes, man. Get you some money, nigga. Teemo Measurement Unit. People will often make fun of League of Legends engine because it's filled with spaghetti code, but you guys actually probably didn't know that Riot used to use Teemos as measuring unit. Because Teemo was the smallest character in the game, Riot decided to use that as a unit of measurement. Lux's W stealth. Yeah, you guys heard that right. Lux's W used to stealth her entire team with her W. So before Lux's release, her W was supposed to be able to stealth her allies for up to 3 seconds. However, before her release, Riot decided to take it out of her kit for fucking obvious reasons, but I digress. And it makes sense because stealth is already annoying enough when you have to deal with a Shaco or a Twitch. But imagine Lux stealthied her entire team before leaving a bush and you randomly get ganked by 5 fucking people. That shit would actually make me uninstall. Jaximus. The Jaximus skin actually has a lot of backstory behind it, because the Jaximus skin was actually created for a young boy named Joe, and Joe had cancer. So what happened was that the Make-A-Wish Foundation and his family contacted Riot to see if they could create a skin and add it to the game. Riot, in a heartwarming gesture, agreed to make that skin and donate all the revenue to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. However, Joe ended up passing away after his wish was granted. So to honor him, Riot added one more quote to the Jaximus skin.
Here's to you, kid. Bravest hero I ever knew was just a kid. Here's to you, champ.
I don't know why it's ordered like this, but after such a heartwarming story, let's talk about Leona's panties in a bush. This is a super funny one, and this was actually the first thing that caught my eye when I was actually reading this Iceberg. Because what the fuck do they mean by Leona's panties in a bush? But after finding a video about it, it all makes sense now. So with the release of Leona, and like every other champion has, she got a skin that goes along with it, which was Valkyrie Leona. Players, well, I don't know if players did it, but the Gooners definitely did. They found out that if you enter a bush with this skin, you were able to see through her skirt, and yeah, straight cheekage.
Damn, nigga, what you doing out here with all this ass? Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon, hella ass. The sun is still out, my nigga, and it was just, I don't know, I mean.
Damn, we're already on the last one. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but Finals fucking another Lux one. Back before 2012, Lux's ultimate was not called Final Spark. It was actually called Finals Fluken, and apparently that just means Final Spark in German. Yeah, I didn't know Lux was German. It seems like her and Red Baron Corky have a lot in common.
It's not Nazi skin, it's a World War I skin. Holy shit!
Thank you for watching this video, guys, especially since you made it all the way here. Might as well drop a like, and if you're new to this channel, maybe consider subscribing to this channel for more high quality content like this. I do apologize not uploading in such a long time, but hopefully this big ass video makes up for it. And don't forget to drop a comment on your favorite League of Legends memory. Maybe it'll be used in a future video. But without further ado, enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Drink some water, fear God, and I'll see you guys in the next video.